information station, WTIM.
Good morning. You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment in studio today, Carl Baker, Assistant Director of the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency. Carl, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Grayson. How are you? I'm doing good. Thank you.
I am doing well. Excited for a 3-day weekend, as I'm sure many of our listeners and probably yourself are excited for as well.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about this extended weekend and maybe making sure that we're not overexerting ourselves. We're enjoying ourselves, but we're doing so in the heat. And it's been hot lately.
It has been hot.
So
go ahead.
What do you got for us in terms of some of that extreme heat and how to manage it?
Well, extreme heat, we don't always think about it. And our bodies will tell us what we need and what we don't need. But one of the things when you think about extreme heat, it's basically defined as 2 or 3 days of constant heat and humidity that's 90 degrees or higher. And so we've actually, a couple of weeks ago, we had that. We may be seeing it again soon. Summer's not over. It's just beginning. So, one of the things that happened in 2023, based on the statistics, we had 2,325 people die of extreme heat. So taking the necessary precautions are very crucial when we're thinking about what we're going to be doing for the day. One of the things that we need to be doing is staying hydrated with water, not caffeine, and certainly not alcohol. Just as actually a runner getting out there, I was thinking I was staying hydrated a couple weeks ago, and my calf knotted up so bad it put me into a world of hurt. So I'm like, I've got to be drinking a lot more water myself with and the electrolytes in that. So staying hydrated is one of the main things that we've got to do. Thinking about what you're going to wear, what are we going to wear for the day? Light colored clothes and loose fitting clothes and lightweight clothes are very important. If it's, 90 plus, we don't need to be wearing black and heavy denim and things like that. So light fitting, loose fitting, and light colored clothes are also key. Avoid strenuous activities, especially in the heat of the day. I had my roof just put on my house last week, and they started at 5:30 in the morning just to avoid the heat. And so, if we can do things earlier in the day when it's not as hot, the hottest part of the day usually is kind of at noon to 3 o'clock. So avoid strenuous activities in the middle of the day. If you can be inside, that's great. We've got places that are cooling centers. Go if you got a chance to go to the Walmart, the public library, someplace where you can get in out of the heat. If you don't have like air conditioning at home, is always a good thing to do. So look for cooling centers and that. Never leave your kids or pets in the car. That is very. I don't even know what word it is. It's we've got to be careful and mindful on that. In 2024, there were 39 deaths that were kids locked in the cars. So far in 2025, we've had 7 deaths that have been reported. So never leave your children alone in the car. Some of these newer cars today that if you get so far away, the car automatically locks. And I was one of those several years ago. I was with my dad and I had broken my foot. So I said, I'll just wait in the car, not go in with you to the Menards. And it was September. But it got hot that day, and he's got one of those cars that when he left, the car locked. I couldn't get the windows down. I couldn't get the door open. I mean, I'm calling his cell phone. This is a 50-year-old guy here trying to figure out how to get out of his car. I was going to rip the window out. But, when you've got a child that might have fallen asleep in there, the newer cars today some of them alarm you and go check the back seat. But again, do not leave kids in the car. Do not leave it running with, they're in the air conditioning. Do not do that. And think about our furry friends. Put a winter coat on and sit in the car at 90 plus degrees. That car is going to be a lot hotter than 90. Mm-hmm. When it's 90 outside, that car is going to be hotter than that. So again, please do not leave children or your pets in the cars. That's a no-no. One of the other things we talk about is, being a good neighbor. Check on your elderly neighbors. Sometimes, they don't have family that's around right away. for me, where I live, across the street, I have a senior citizen couple. I'm always talking to them at least every day to see how they're doing. And my neighbor next door to me, he's in a wheelchair. And so I talk to him just to make sure, hey, you guys all right? Everybody's good. And so check on our neighbors. And that's always a good thing to do. So, the heat is very extreme, and we just need to be mindful when we're thinking about what we're going to do for today, how we're going to do it, and go from there.
Characterized the extreme heat there, 2 to 3 days of constant heat, 90 degrees or above with some humidity.
Yeah.
And so when I hear extreme heat, I'm thinking triple digits, but this is news to me that it's even 90 degrees or so. And that's
90 plus. Yeah. And you think about it, when you start thinking about the 90-degree plus, but then you factor in the heat index. Yes. Now it feels like you're triple degrees. Mm-hmm. When you're in an urban area, let's just take Chicago. I know we're a couple hours from Chicago, but when you're downtown, basically the concrete jungle, there's no air moving. The heat, concrete pavements, asphalt, all that stuff just gets hotter yet. It's just hard to believe this. So when you're in a high degree 90s plus, downtown Chicago would feel a lot worse than that.
Oh, yes. And that's the thing, all that heat just absorbing into the concrete or the asphalt, even if it bounces back at you a little bit, no wind. Right. It's a big deal.
It is, even though it's called the Windy City, there's no wind.
No.
But, and you think about walking your pets, wait till you're early in the morning or early in the evening after it's cooled down. I mean, think about trying to walk across a parking lot with bare feet. I've seen some people do that and they're dancing around, and it's like, you might want to put some shoes on, and even sand gets hot at the beach.
That's exactly where my mind went.
Yeah. So heat is not, we don't always think about it as being a disaster, but it surely can become one.
And I appreciate all the different things laid out to us there. Staying hydrated, loose, fitting clothes, light colored clothes, just as important there. Staying inside as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Knowing where those cooling centers are, and never leaving your kids or pets in the car. To hear the 39 senseless deaths last year.
All could have been avoided.
Every single one of them.
Yes.
And 7 already this year.
Yes.
And it's, as you mentioned, summer's just starting.
It's just starting.
And September these days has been awfully hot.
I've seen 90s in September with no problem. We were thinking that, July and August are usually our hottest months, and we're thinking about state fairs coming up. County fairs are coming up. Christian County fairs coming up. Again, stay hydrated, stay cool as much as possible. But again, those temperatures are staying hotter longer. I mean, I'm not a climatologist. I'm not a weather person. But you think about it, the tornado that happened in Taylorville, December. Who thinks tornadoes in December? So heat, it's here to stay. It's going to be here. So stay cool, drink that water, and take precautions.
Drink that water, especially.
Absolutely.
There are not a lot of water drinkers out there.
No, there's not. And there's lots of things that you can put in the water to flavor it. I mean, your electrolytes, your whatever. But drink a lot of water.
And when it comes to some of those signs of maybe like a heat exhaustion or a heat stroke, I think a lot of people know cool, clammy skin or things of that nature. But how do we help those people that all of a sudden, you don't look right, you're on the job site, let's get your feet up, let's get you elevated? What can we do?
Get out there. One of the things that you see a lot of places, you can buy them at Walmart, and those cooling towels are big. I've got a couple of them. You dip them in the cold water, put them on their neck. Get their core body temperatures down. One of the things to encourage people to do is, if you can, take a first aid class. The Red Cross offers first aid classes. The fire departments offer, I'm sure, first aid classes. I know in Bethany at Moultrie County, the fire department, we've got a gentleman on the team there that offers first aid classes. And so, if you can, that helps you recognize the signs. It helps you be prepared how to handle those situations when it comes up. And so those are all good things to do.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I mean, sometimes you got to be out in that heat. But as you mentioned earlier, I had roofers on mine at 5:30 in the morning. I mean, imagine how hot it is up on top of roof, 120, 130 degrees potentially.
Yeah. I've tried to get up on a roof on a hot day, and you just can't do it. You can feel the heat through your shoes. And it's like, and if you're on shorts, you're going to feel the scald.
Just for sure. And go find a shaded tree for a little while.
That's right.
Because my God, a massive amount of respect to those guys. We need them out there, but that's the thing. I mean, the work needs done, and it's the summer months is the best time to probably do it. But
that's right.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It is hot. And so that is a look at extreme heat. Again, that's 2 to 3 days of constant heat, 90 degrees plus with some humidity, and how to really manage it, how to stay hydrated and do different things to kind of mitigate your risk. We're going to come back around with Carl Baker, who's the Assistant Director of the Moultrie County EMA. We're going to talk some water safety. So when you're dealing with extreme heat, you can maybe cool off a little bit. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM. Your information station, WTIM.
And we're back with the WTIM Morning Show here on your information station. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment is Assistant Director of the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency, Carl Baker. Carl and I have been talking a little bit about extreme heat. Now we want to turn our attention to cooling off in the water, but doing so safely. Carl, what do you have in terms of recommendations and tips there?
Oh, there's a lot there, Grayson. Again, as you said, we're talking about extreme heat. Now, what's a good way to cool off? But get in the water. We've got Lake Taylorville here, Moultrie County, in Shelby County. We got Lake Shelbyville. We've got, rivers that people like to tube down, paddleboard, kayak, and so forth. But we've got to be very cautious on the waters also. I don't know if you know this, but drowning is the number one death for children ages 1 to 4. Number one. People roughly there's about 4,000 people that die a year on drowning, which equates to about 10 people per day that basically drown. So what we want to do is talk a few minutes about water safety tips. We'll talk about children being left in the car. Let's never leave children unattended around water. Kids are very, I'll say, slippery. They can get away from us real quick. Pools tend to be where children drown the most. Roughly about 80% of the drownings are in residential pools. But that doesn't mean that they're safe from boating accidents or being on a river or tubing and things like that. If you're out on the water, especially navigable waters, keep the personal flotation device on. Every drowning that is out there is preventable. You talk about the Corps of Engineer, DNR, flotation devices are really important. I know they may feel uncomfortable and hot. I've been on lakes for over 20 some years. When I'm skiing or jet skiing, those are required to have on there. But when you're sitting on the boat, you think, oh, okay, everything's good. Or if you're sitting on an inner tube floating down, oh, everything's good. But it's the undertows, it's the undercurrents that we don't see that are what get us quickly in trouble. Unfortunately, if anybody saw the news, there was 3 drownings on the Ember River last weekend. Very tragic, very sad. And we just got to be safe around the water. Just some facts thinking about this. As I said, it's the #1 leading cause of death from 1 to 4-year-olds. It remains the 2nd leading cause of death between 5 and 15-year-olds. 5 to 17-year-olds are more likely to drown in natural water, such as ponds or lakes. It's just because we don't know what's lurking under the water. When you think about jumping in off of a boat or something, you don't know what's just below the surface. A depth finder might tell you that it's 15 feet deep, but there may be a tree stump that's 12 feet tall. You just don't know. So, some things that we'd like to encourage is, 1, learn to swim. That's the first thing. Learn to swim, learn life-saving skills. If we're talking about pools, barriers do work. Some counties don't require pools to be gated. Some counties do. So check with your local counties to see what is required. But and maybe your insurance companies will require to have a gate around it. But barriers do work. Isolating those pools off. Wear life jackets. And probably the easiest thing to do is stay vigilant. Watch. Keep an eye on those kids. Keep an eye on your friends and your family when you're in the water. The other thing is never swim alone. Never swim alone, because if you do get in trouble, there's nobody there to help you. We live in the central part of the United States where we don't have rip currents, but we all like to vacation at the beach. Rip currents will get you in trouble also. What is a rip current? Well, when you've got like 2 sandbars out there and it's a little deeper in the middle, you got a current that's taking you out from the shore. The best way to get out of that is swim parallel to the shore. And don't panic.
Yes.
When you start to panic, that's when things can also start to go awry. So keep your calm, keep a level head. And those things are just a couple of safety tips that can help you have an enjoyable summer while staying cool in the water.
Carl Baker, Assistant Director of the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency, joining us here in studio. Extreme heat, then to water safety. Carl, pleasure to see you here in studio.
It's great
today.
to see you.
And we're wishing a very safe and happy 4th of July weekend. And you mentioned the deaths in Jasper County of the drowning. Having just been on the Ember River the week before, that is an eye-opener. It's scary, and it should be for those out there as well. It might not happen to you, but it can happen to you. So
yes.
Hold on to this information about not only extreme heat, but water safety. Carl Baker, Assistant Director of the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency, joining us here on the WTIM Morning Show. More to come when we return. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.